like the next slide would show to us, saying, Jaspal, don't worry, you at least seem to have the hunger to want to know, right? And to want to explore. And the single person, or more than one person, that I was taking this inspiration from was, of course, my own maternal grandfather, who was on one hand a scientist, and he was writing chemistry textbooks for college level students. On the other hand, he was showing multifarious skills like knowing Farsi, knowing English literature, trading on the Delhi Commodities Exchange. And I said, wow, if a single guy can do so many things, what stops me? And so whether it was my own family, or whether it was this next picture that will come up on the screen in a second, I said, let me take inspiration from people who've lived before us and see whether they can help me give pointers to where I could go with my life, right? So, took inspiration from a drucker, saying, don't worry, work with whatever you have. This card that has been dealt, work with it. See if there is a strength in it, right? And what I liked more about this particular article, Managing Oneself, was not only the fact that I was being asked to take ownership for myself, but I was also very, very taken up by the fact that here was a person telling us that we can learn by doing, not necessarily just by academics or by PhDs, right? So took 2 or 3 points from that, saying go ahead, Jaspal, go ahead and explore, and go ahead and make a personal credo for yourself in life. Perhaps you can then enjoy living it, right? And my credo therefore started very early in life, finding a few things that I thought I could stand for and say I have lived the life I wanted to, right? So the part about learning came very easily to me, because I was born, as I just said to you, in a Sikh tradition, and Sikh literally meant Sikh hope. And I said, why not? Let me be a good Shishya, let me be a good Sikh. And however, I was also initially going for another career. So in front of you, not only am I standing as a low, an average academics guy, but I'm also a guy who initially wanted to go to the Air Force and be a pilot. And I was selected at the age of 18 to go to the National Defense Academy, right? Didn't do that. Went into food technology and PAU, wanted to be a food technologist, didn't do that, and ended up being lucky enough to be a fellow alumni with you, thanks to the SPA program, and I was in IAM, right? So I ended up being an adventurer of a different sort, not a pilot flying planes, not a youngster living in an India where we were not yet traveling too often all over the world. In those days, 40 years ago, international travel was not really the norm, right? But here was this young person wanting to live life in an open manner, right? Very, very fortunate for me, because when people ask me, so which part of India are you from, Jaspal? I say, what can I say? I was born in Bihar, I was brought up in Bengal, I studied in Himachal, and then I went to college in Punjab, and then I went for post-graduation to Ahmedabad. So where am I from? You know? So I'm fortunate once again, having worked, lived in all the 4 corners of India. So later on, as a working person, I had managed to live in Hyderabad for 6 years, Mumbai for a year, so there you are. So I ended up sort of trying to form a credo for myself that go out there, learn. And if you can, go ahead and practice that learning of yours in whichever profession you pick up. See if you can enjoy that sense of adventure that you're seeking. See if you can continue to work with the awe of nature, because not only did Leonardo da Vinci or Albert Einstein had said to us that curiosity is the starting of a journey, but that journey can become really interesting if we can somehow take this sense of awe, the sense of wonder at every turning point, at every crossroad that you will face on that journey, right? So for me, therefore, this nature business came early in life. Probably my forefathers had been farmers, so that came pretty easy. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, in between I had even dreamt of being a forest ranger. So when I used to say I want to do IFS, they used to think Indian Foreign Service, and I said, no, Indian Forest Service, right? So as you can guess, my interests were sort of all over the place, And I often joke about it, saying if you took all my hobbies into account, because I was found on every sports field, I was found on any debating or elocutions. I used to joke about it that you could probably send my name to the Guinness Book of Records because he has 30, 40, 50 hobbies, right? So if I wasn't good in studies, I was certainly trying to keep myself busy on the sports field or on other fields, right? And what I was clearly being able to do, however, was quickly pick up some pointers to what life subsequently was going to ask from me as a challenge when I came into corporate life, right? So today I say I owe half of my learnings to what I learned in the sports field, because that's where the camaraderie, the team spirit aspect came so naturally, and the I became a we so naturally. So subsequently, when I was in an operational role, you got a flavor of it from this feedback. I said, from this little introduction that you have on me, I said, okay, so which kind of an industry would I love to join? And I made the whole thing very simple for myself. I said, I love food. I love tasting the food from all the cuisines of India, and whenever I could, cuisines from outside. So why don't I first look after myself and my ability to give great foods to everyone else. So the first 15 years of my career ended up being in the food industry with Nestle. But today when I look back and I say you got a chance to be a young management trainee. We were the first batch of trainees, by the way, in Nestle India. And it all looks like it all automatically fell into place. But the reality is, as each door used to either open or close, and if I took the trouble to take the next step forward, another door would open, right? So an interesting story I can share with you is that I was not only not perhaps destined to go to IIM, but I was not even destined to be a Nestle trainee, because the placement office said, why are you not joining the fertilizer industry or the pesticides industry or an agriculture graduate? And all my pleas that I was a food technologist were on deaf ears. And it was just a delayed Indian Airlines flight, and these selectors who had come from Delhi were just wasting their time in waiting for an airplane to take off, when the placement office said, this guy's been pestering us, he says he's from food technology. Would you like to meet him? So just by chance they ended up meeting me. Just by chance I ended up being recruited. And I said, wow, doors are going to open when they are going to open. My job is to go on knocking. So later, of course, in Nestle, I was fortunate that my career begins with new products. Very quickly got to start implementing what I had learned on the sports field, which is unless I can get a buy-in and ownership of everyone involved in my new brand or new product, I don't think it's going to work, right? So getting cross-functional collaborations going. Some pictures are coming up on what the various teams that looked at me. Okay. You can maybe help me with this because it's going to take some response time. So I'm trying to look at that picture, those caricatures. Yeah. So so one slide at a time if you go forward. Yeah, and the next one. Yeah. So, as I said, new products, it came very easy. Unless I get the buy-in of everyone, these products were not going anywhere, right? So, however, learnings were coming to me more from my failures, and new products were the perfect place to fail. So when I tried to launch iced tea mix in India, it bombed because it was like 15 years ahead of its time. And several other new products burnt my fingers, and that's when eventually I got a chance to launch Maggi noodles in India. And if any of you have ever had them or heard of them, you know that either I am cursed by mothers, young mothers in India, or blessed by young mothers in India. Huh?
Remembered.
Are remembered.
And not just in India.
Yeah.
Does it have an addictive component in it?
It's like the special formula.
So, but it was one of those products. No, to answer honestly, there's nothing addictive in it. Yes, it did have monosodium glutamate in it, MSG, but that was the way it was permitted in the food industry at that time. Even today, it is a permitted additive. So, but Maggi noodles is one of those stories again where nobody was wanting to handle Maggi because Nestle had made the mistake of launching some smaller product called Soup Cubes, and that had been a bomb. It used to sell only in Bombay and Goa. And the word Maggi within the house of Nestle was actually being associated with things that do not work. So there was nobody wanting to handle Maggi in Nestle. And this new product guy was dumb enough to say, as I told you, whenever any time this syndrome used to be, it can't be done, or there's nobody doing it, that's when this little hand used to go up and saying, try me out, right? So the new product guys rose to the occasion and said, give us Maggi to handle that. So fortunate that it eventually, and I see it can't show you all the pictures, but yeah, there are 3-4 other pictures, and what I was showing you was how the various teams I had led during those 35 years saw me. These are caricatures that were gifted to me whenever any assignment was over, by the way. So I really hold them very dear to my heart. But unfortunately, you can't see some more pictures over here. Every team I used to handle and lead, whenever I was ready to move on, I'd say, just draw what you saw in me as a leader, right? And these pictures ended up giving you a quick visual sketch of what Chispal's style of leadership ended up being during those 35 years. 3 questions people used to always, 3 sentences or questions. First question, been asked that for 35 years, by the way. And that is, Chispal, so where is your energy coming from? Can you please share that, right? So, and I would half lie to them, half truthfully saying, it comes from you, right? In my private life, I'm a very quiet guy. I'm with my books, and yeah, once in a while I go into my sports field. But energy, that was something I was being known for. Putting up my dumb hand for things that cannot be done, those challenging assignments where people felt it can't be done. That's what I slowly became known for. And very, of course, satisfying for me, also got known for a guy who delivers. As I said to you, any commitment that was ever made, short term or long term, was delivered, but delivered how? That is the important point. Delivered as a guy who lived 100% the values of the organization he was working with, right? So in Nestle, I was the 110% Nestle guy for 15 years, and not only worked out of their Delhi office, but also out of their Switzerland office for 3 years, looking after the whole of Asia, going back to India, being the head of marketing, head of sales for their largest sales region, and so sort of very quickly got known as the guy who not only puts up his hands but also delivers on commitments. And when I talk delivery, I am also sort of very, very conscious of the fact that we often have issues of short term, long term, people focus, task focus. That's why I chose today's, when the theme came out, Finding Your Way, I inserted in that a question, chaos, order, one or the other, right? So as I was sort of finding my way, I've shared with you a few of the pointers I was using to, at each turn in the crossroad, say, this seems to be the way to follow my gut and follow it, right? So I ended up very quickly seeing 15 years behind me in Nestle, and having already done the food bit, I said, okay, now just while you're getting old, so your eyes are probably going to be giving up. Or from philosophy point of view, of course, if I take my cleaning glass and I start cleaning it, it's also perhaps times to examine your perspectives. Examine the paradigms that you may have already formed. 15 years, you've already probably formed a certain view of life. This is how it is done. This is how Maggi became a success. And things tend to go to your head after a while. So I then sort of changed industries and was instrumental in bringing the vision care industry, which is Ray-Ban sunglasses and soft contact lenses, to India through Bausch & Lomb India. And not only did the head of marketing and sales for them, but ended up being their first managing director. And we were able to start exporting out of India. This was yet another story by itself, by the way. People said to us, will anyone buy India-made Ray-Bans? They are bought only because they're imported. And will anyone buy a 1500 rupee Ray-Ban made in India? Will anyone? Here's the lens story, contact lens story. When we were bringing in soft lenses into India, India was a hard lens market. And the doctors in India were on record in newspapers saying soft lenses can give you blindness in the eyes. They may be soft, they may be comfortable, but they can give you blindness in the eyes, right? So if Maggie was a challenge, can't be done, who will buy? Is it a Chinese product, Indian product, meal, snack? Here was another challenge. How can you take on the wisdom of soft lenses will never work in India because they cause blindness? And who is going to buy Indian-made Ray-Bans in any case? Now in all these startup stories I just shared with you, perhaps spanning 15, 20 years of my career, loved this aspect that in the startup phases of any business, whether it's a new product you're trying to launch, whether it's a new sector like vision care industry you were trying to launch, because we were the first organized sector player in eye care. Till then it was totally unorganized, right? And opticians were known for not so ethical practices. We came in, organized the sector, gave education to the practitioners so that when the soft lenses went in, not only did we manage to change the market en masse, that means the market today there is a soft lens market and not a hard market, but we were also able to give a product and the education along with it so that blindness, I'm on record saying that I did not lose even one pair of eyes in India, but it's just north of in China, which was a much bigger contact lens market, we had cases of blindness, right? So when I share with you this excitement of delivery, I also associated with that the question of how, and in the how came this notion that it must be done in an ethical manner, with integrity, with the values intact, whichever organization you happen to be in, right? So later on, of course, towards the end of my career, I also had a chance to turn around larger businesses and larger units, and that was here in Canada. I was the head of Bausch & Lomb Canada. It was a turnaround story. We were already big, and we needed to, however, bring it. Why were they importing an expatriate manager called Jaspal? That single commodity, that brand for myself, that he is an energizer. Wherever he goes, there's energy. So for that single quality of mind, or this quality of being able to bring people together, disparate people, I mentioned to you new products, whether it's manufacturing, marketing, R&D, legal, bringing everyone together to the same table. More importantly, getting your product, your brand owned by other people. So that everyone, in the Maggi Noodles success story, by the way, if I asked you, the Maggi Noodles iconic success, or later on the Ray-Ban and lenses, in this, were these marketing successes? Because my original stream as a functional specialty was marketing and sales. So do you think this was a marketing and sales success?
Maggi
The right
for
product, right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah, Maggi for sure.
It was a marketing success.
Definitely.
No, it's also the taste.
It was also the taste, but that's a part of the right product, yeah. So if
There is an operational story behind it.
there's probably an operational angle to it, right?
Supply
It was
chain and
supply
everything.
chain, because the first time a 9-month shelf life, flexible packing product, going to be merchandised in shops, full of rats who love their atta and their maida and their noodles, right?
The story of the hanging.
Exactly. So there was a huge angle to the story, which was not just this whole question of is it a Chinese product, Indian product, meal or snack. So yes, marketing was involved in positioning it as a middle of the day snack when a hungry child comes back home, right? That we got consumption from sales reps who was traveling deep into India is quite another story. We got consumption from hostelers who were living in hostels and wanted good food to have. That was wonderful, having bonus consumption going on, right? But the core consumption was as intended, as per the positioning, a midday snack for a hungry child, 2 minutes and it is ready, right? So, however, some of us may think it was a marketing success. Sure enough, marketing did everything sort of right, the right product, right pricing, right promotion. And I have a friend in the room who actually was associated with the promotion, right, Pankaj?
Yes.
You handled the product.
Maggie noodles was my
Absolutely. So, yeah, sure, marketing was working, but as Suresh just said, and maybe I also heard it at the back of the room, the story is actually of much more than just marketing, right? The product champion's job was only one. Can he sell the dream, the vision, to all others who were going to touch the product in one way or the other? So you will be surprised that not only was I making friends with the shop floor in the Maggie factory, which was, by the way, one of those outlying small plants in those days, because Nestle was mainly into coffees and milks and